The truth of the original belief is plainly enough indicated by the word claus, which in the ancient Celtic means child and son. Santa Claus formerly meant the Holy Child. It is not difficult to see how the change of men's religious beliefs 300 or 400 years ago changed the character of the legend. Then it would later on get picked up by what you call the Dutch or the Russian, the ones who went with Christianity, into the Celtics, or what you want to say German. Winter solstice is the return of the burning wheel, which correlates with the sun dropping down to its lowest degree and then beginning to rise again. And then you get into the Christmas tree, which was equally common in Rome and Egypt. In Egypt, it was a palm tree. In Rome, it was a fir. The palm tree denoting the Messiah as Baal Tamar, the fir referring to him as Baal Berith. The Christmas tree is Nimrod, the slain god come to life again, which some of his people is known to come from Axum, which modernly is known as Ethiopia, a land divided. But then they went to northwest, what is known as Amexum, northwest Amexum, which is the Americas. And these Europeans is celebrating the return of the Moors, but at the same time not even acknowledging or knowing who they exactly are. As well as the holly, ivy. We have already went over mistletoe before because it heals a lot of ailments. And there's no scriptural records about Santa Claus being Christian. And it can be traced to the Dutch settlers of New York, to St. Nicholas of the 4th century. I seen a preacher look dead at the camera and say, this is the time to celebrate the birth of Jesus. Look dead at the camera. And we know every 50 years the Jews have the Pentecost, and that was taken on the 25th, Constantine and all that. And he looked dead at the camera and said, this is the meaning of the birth of Jesus, bro. Hanging stockings is based on a similar superstition. An old woman of Palestine would not stop her housework to see the kings of the East on their way to bring gifts to the infant Jesus, expecting to do so on their return. Because they return by a different route unknown to her, she is supposed to be still looking for them. In Italy, children hang up stockings, and if they have been good for the past year, Befana is supposed to fill them with gifts. If not, then she fills them with ashes. You know what I'm saying? It's very disheartening that people want to cling to childish ways when you need to grow up and worship under your own vine and fig tree and find out who your ancestors was and honor your foremothers and forefathers. Christmas is observed 3 times in Bethlehem, and for each observance, the Mandel Ham Gate between Israel and the quote-unquote Arab sectors of Jerusalem, which they have the Moroccan Gate, which is the Moorish, is open to admit Christian pilgrims. In the 5th century, the Western Church ordered a feast celebrating the birth of the Savior to be observed on the day of the Mithriac rites of the birth of the Sun, S-U-N, and at the close of Saturnalia, and that was S-U-N. Among the Germans and Celtic tribes, the winter solstice was considered an important point of the year, and to commemorate the return of the sun, S-U-N, they held their festivals, what you want to call Yule, but the return of the burning wheel, and that symbolizes anew the return of the Yod. However, when you get into more Pete in connection with Santa Claus, but he helped out a nobleman by furnishing a dowry of a bag of gold to each of his 3 daughters, which they're playing a play with the Magi, wise men, and 3 gifts. But he's also the patron saint of Russia, of virgins, of children, of pawnbrokers, and of thieves. I also find it interesting that while this winter solstice is going on, you have these burning spheres. And we've been doing the plasma studies. You can go check those out as well. As far as these manuscripts I read, I have very heavy manuscripts. So don't get mad at me when I'm reading this stuff and it's coming out where they're telling you sharp truth and you're taking it as emotion. I leave you in love and peace.